Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to be doing a beginner houseplant video. So going to the plant section at any big box store can be kind of intimidating, I guess, because when you first go in, there's so much there that it's kind of overwhelming. So I know a lot of younger people tend to go towards the cacti and succulent section, and a lot of people also really favor the aloe vera, which is fine, that's actually in my list, but I figured I would include a couple more that are really good for people who want to expand their horizons in the houseplant world. So today I'm going to be showing you some plants that are good for people who want to have some more greenery in their house, who don't have a super great idea of how houseplants work, or maybe you're afraid of killing all of them. I mean, once you get the basics down, it's pretty easy to start expanding. So I'm gonna start off with a list of the ones that I think are the best for people to get if you want to have more than just like cacti and succulents and aloe vera. So let's get into it. So the first one is a pretty obvious one, I think, for all of my people out there who know anything about plants. A pothos is a very indestructible plant. It pretty much won't die. It can take a lot of damage, honestly. This one is actually my boyfriend's pothos that we got when we first moved into the apartment, and he left it outside through the winter, I believe, and it completely died and then came back. So these have another name for them that's also called the devil's ivy, which is a pretty fitting name, I would say, because these things are indestructible. And the other pothos varieties are pretty easy too. This is a golden pothos. It hasn't had a ton of sun, so it has not much sun stress on it, so doesn't have a lot of yellow on it. Pothos are really easy to take care of, and I have another one sitting over here, another variety that's basically the same care, so I'm just gonna show you that one too. This is a Mandiola pothos, I believe. Pothos varieties are a little bit kind of hard to like tell which one's which, but same care as a golden pothos. Pothos are really good for people who want to like have different types of house plants, and maybe like if people are coming over and you want to have a lot of green in your house, nobody's gonna be like, oh, you have like all the same plant, because they all look different but they're all the same, if you know what I mean. A great house plant, the superior house plant, the one that everyone will recommend to you. Get a pothos. Next on my list is a spider plant, which I don't actually have, so I'm gonna insert a picture of it. But I've heard from multiple people that these are like one of the really easy ones that can take a lot of damage, like a pothos. I'm planning on getting one soon, but my aunt keeps telling me that she wants to get me one, so I'm gonna wait. No pressure if you're watching. But she was like, oh, I really want to get you a spider plant, so I'm not gonna ruin that, I guess, for her, so. And next on my list is a snake plant, also known as a Sansevieria. This one is a Sansevieria moonshine. I do have the mother-in-law tongue too, but it's way too big to bring in here for this video. So I figured I would bring this one in to show you guys, because these guys can go a pretty long time without water. They're just a reliable plant that you can also keep in lower light as well. And the same applies to the spider plant and the pothos as well. They can tolerate lower light, but if you can, give them more sunlight, but not super direct sunlight, if you get what I mean. Next on my list is a ZZ. This one is a Raven ZZ. It has the same care as a regular ZZ. These are very typical for a first house plant. They don't need a ton of water and they grow like crazy. A ZZ is always a great choice for a house plant, and they're cute. And the Raven ZZ is obviously really cool. I mean, black house plants, we live for it, right? And next is a arrowhead plant, also known as a Syngonium. These guys grow like crazy. They're considered a vining plant. So are pothos, I forgot to mention that. Arrowheads are a vining plant, so if you put a moss pole or stick in here, they'll start to grow up it, or they'll trail in ways that you kind of like, I guess, force them to go. So if you want them to go a certain way, they'll go a certain way. But they grow like crazy. When I first got this, it was probably like, it has 4 stalks on it now. When I first got it, it was probably one of these stalks here, so it was probably, get that leaf out of there. It's probably about this big when I first got it, and I got this maybe 6 months ago, so it's obviously grown a ton. And the other arrowhead or syngonium varieties also grow like crazy. So like the pothos, lots of varieties. All of these plants have lots of varieties, so like you can go nuts with these things. But syngonium have a lot of varieties. They're a very attractive plant. They have a cool scaly look to them. And I'd give this one a significant amount of water, I'd say. You probably don't need to, but mine's close to the window. So you really need to think about what time of year it is and how much sunlight your plant's getting, because if they're gonna dry out super quick, that's different compared to the winter where it's cold and you can give them water and they'll be like fine for a long time. But obviously the heat changes that, so keep that in mind. Next is the aloe vera, which I was talking about at the beginning of this video. This is a really popular one for a lot of people going to college or like moving into a dorm, because these are very like welcoming houseplants, I suppose. This one is combobbled like beyond belief, because we've cut it so many times and it's been repotted and it's grown like crazy since I've gotten it. This is medical aloe, like most sold in the big box stores. So if you cut a piece off and use it for a burn, it works pretty well. You can see pieces where I've cut off, they just like form over with a callus. These are a very good houseplant. Similar to how you would treat any other succulent. I believe aloe vera is technically a succulent, but most people just call them aloe. Next is the cacti and succulent huge area, I guess. I'm just showing you 2 examples because I have a bunch of them, but these ones were small enough for me to bring in here, and I think they're good examples. So I'm not sure what kind of cactus this is, but pretty much all cactus are treated the same. So, and it might be kind of cringy that this is in a plastic pot right now, but it's been doing well, so I don't know. I'm just letting it get in there until it gets too big, I guess. I very sparingly water this. That's a good thing about cactus and succulents. They don't need a ton of water, so if you're someone who kind of like is a little bit neglectful, these are really good for you. But also keep in mind that whenever you're getting these, you can't just keep them in a corner of the room. That was a problem that I had whenever I lived in a dorm. I kept them kind of really far away from the window because I was kind of just thinking of them more of decoration, which I mean, plants kind of are decoration, but I wasn't giving it the proper care, so obviously it died. If you're gonna get a cactus, just make sure it's getting bright sunlight. They're pretty forgiving on watering. You don't have to do it very often. But if you are an overwaterer, be careful with these guys. And this is a succulent in my cute dinosaur planter. This is an ogre ear succulent. I actually know the name of this one. These guys are pretty much the same as the cactus, same care, basically. A better way that you can tell that these need water is they'll start to look kind of wrinkly. This one, I watered these a few days ago, so these ones are looking pretty good right now. But they'll start to look kind of pruny, and that'll tell you whenever it needs water, basically. Same situation, don't overwater these or they're gonna turn yellow and get all mushy and gross. Okay, next up is a Fittonia. This one has been facing the window for a long time, so look at the back. Wow. This is why you need to rotate your plants when you're sitting them so close to the window, because they'll lean towards the window and then do this in the back. So make sure you're rotating them. These are a really good terrarium plant. I've learned that they kind of need a lot of humidity. I do not have mine by a humidifier, so I'm kind of just thinking that the place I have it in my house is just high humidity. It's close to a window. It does get open quite a bit, so I think maybe that could be contributing to the humidity, and maybe I guess the other plants underneath of it. Yeah, Fittonia are pretty easy to take care of. They do like a lot of water though, so if you're someone who tends to overwater, I think this one will like you a lot. Needs water. They kind of like faint over and just look like they're completely dead, but they're just being dramatic. They're not actually dead. I see a lot of these on clearance at the big box stores because they don't realize that they're not dying, they just need water. So if you give them water, they'll perk right back up, and they're a pretty good starter plant for people who want something bright and pretty. Next is philodendron. This is a philodendron Brazil. From my experience, these are very similar to how you treat pothos. They're kind of almost like, I guess, sisters in a way. A lot of people confuse philodendron with pothos, but they look very similar. They're also vining and trailing plants. So a Brazil philodendron, which is this one. I don't have any other philodendron. This is the only one that I have. These are a good one for if you have maybe pothos. I do recommend that pothos is your first one because they are so easy, but these are a good one, like a good second plant to get with pothos. They're very similar, and I mean, they're really cool looking. This is a Schefflera. I think that's how you say it, also known as an umbrella plant. I have a couple of these and they do pretty well in like bright, mid, I guess, how do I say that? Not bright sunlight or low sunlight, but kind of like mid area. I don't know why I can't like think of the word for that right now. This one grows really quickly. We have this in our chameleons cage, actually right now, a really big one. And it's been in there with honestly a lot of neglect, and it is doing fine. They need water when they're completely dry, plus they're cute. And the baby Schefflera coming out, let me get a good angle of that. Well, there's a baby one. Yeah, they're really cute when they start growing out. They look like little hands. Schefflera, I highly recommend. I have 4 of them and they're all doing great. Next one is probably my favorite. This is a Hoya Crimson Princess. I was really excited when I found this because I never see Hoya anywhere. I don't know if it's just where I live, but I got lucky one day and went into Lowe's and saw this huge freaking thing. You know, I gotta say, Lowe's has some pretty freaking awesome plants for $15. Like, it's huge. And I have a Crimson Queen too, which is way smaller than this that I got from a plant nursery. That was like $28. Check your Lowe's, that's all I'm saying. Or your Home Depot. Check your big box store. And to tell if these need water, this is kind of like, I guess, a nice way to tell if they need water, because these ones have like waxier leaves or thicker leaves, kind of like a succulent, I guess. And if you kind of like bend them or can bend them up in, and they're like really flimsy feeling, that's how you know that they need water. I don't have a ton of experience with super crazy houseplants or anything, so the Hoya has been very good to me. I have it pretty close to the window, so it gets pretty bright sunlight, but I water it probably every 2 or 3 weeks, and she's steadily growing. The next one I also do not have, but I've had it in the past, and that is the Lucky Bamboo plant, which is one that you see a lot in the big box stores again. And that is another common one that people usually will go for whenever they don't have much knowledge of houseplants, I suppose. Lucky Bamboo is very appealing. A lot of people have them living in just water, which is also kind of appealing, and they're a popular bathroom plant. Sponsor me. But I will insert a picture of that if you don't know what that looks like. I had them when I was probably like 8, and they did really well for me, and I was a child, so yeah, they're very easy to take care of, and I mean, they're cute. Okay, next on my list are air plants. Air plants are really cool, honestly. They don't live in dirt. A lot of people keep them in a display area, so I have mine sitting in some like glass tubes, which I can put a picture of in here too as well, so I can just give you guys like an example of how people will display them or keep them. They do like to have sunlight, and mine honestly do not get a ton of sunlight, but they do still get sunlight. I take them out and I put them in a bowl of water and soak them like overnight, once every like 2 to 3 weeks. They're doing well. I unfortunately do not know the scientific names for these, so I'm just gonna show you what they look like. Get my face out of the way. Here's one. Here's a baby. Another one. That one's got a little bit of a brown tip. And this one's the coolest one in my opinion. Very good if you don't have anywhere to have pots as well. Like if you can hang them somewhere, or maybe just have them on your desk also. Yeah, they're nice for if you don't want to have like a pot of soil sitting anywhere. And from what I can tell, they don't really attract any bugs or anything. So that's always a plus. Next, I have a peperomia. This one looks crazy because I already said the story about this one in my last video, but basically I cut it off of a plant that I was getting my mom for Christmas. And I put it in water and it grew a little bit of roots, and then I put it in soil, and it took 6 months to finally grow some little babies here. But peperomia are a pretty easy houseplant to take care of. I would say this one is a little bit more advanced than having like a pothos or a philodendron or a syngonium. So these ones also have kind of like waxier leaves, and the reason why peperomia are so cool is because they have like this glittery effect. I don't know if you can see it on camera. Probably not. Cameras do that. This one I was giving more water than you would usually because of the fact that it was kind of propagating and getting these new babies, which is another video for another time. Peperomia are popular in the houseplant community. They are well loved, and the watermelon peperomia is one that a lot of people have as a favorite. So if you can find one, get one, because how cute are they? They look like a watermelon. So this is the last one that I'm gonna have on my main list. This is a peace lily which has been through pretty much everything and has been actually cut many times by me. So if they look thinner in the leaves, it's because I cut them. But they were getting browning tips, and I think it's because I'm someone who doesn't tend to overwater or water a ton. If you're someone who does, this one, again, like the Photonia, will really like you because they like a lot of water. These also do the thing where they kind of faint over, again, like the Photonia. They're also not dead when they do that. But if you're someone who likes to water a lot, these guys will really like you. And these can tolerate some pretty low light, like a pothos, and a spider plant, and a snake plant, and a syngonium? No, not a syngonium. These lilies are good for people who have a very heavy urge to water the heck out of everything. That's not me, so it's not doing very well for me. But it does well for a lot of other people, so I'm including it. And lastly, I wanted to show you guys some plants that I have that do really well for me. I believe my zone is 6A. 6A? I think so. I can link a website in the description that will tell you your zone. It tells you which houseplants will do the best for your area. So I live in Ohio, and I believe most of Ohio is 6A. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm gonna show you the ones that do really well for me. And if you're someone who lives in Ohio, or I guess maybe has the same living conditions as me, they'll do well for you too. This one's a mess, but this is a caladium. I think this one's called like springland or something, but this one has absolutely like taken off, and it is close to my window, so it does get a significant amount of sunlight, and I water this about every 2 to 3 weeks with all my other plants. They're very delicate, so I would recommend not touching the foliage. I think it's called foliage. Caladiums do fairly well for me, and they will probably do well for you too if you have the same living conditions. Another important thing to take into consideration is your window and which way it faces. So I am actually not completely sure what mine is, but I know that the amount of sunlight that comes in through your window does affect it quite a bit. So I will educate myself, and I will let you guys know that in another video. But I'm throwing it out there that the sunlight that you get in the zone that you're in does change how plants will work for you. But most of the ones in this video are ones that are okay, I would say, for pretty much anyone, because they are not super picky about things. So yeah, just take that into consideration. Other one is a string of pearls. This one does really well for me, as well as other stringing plants. A lot of people have a really rough time with these, but you'll know these need water if you can squeeze the pearl and they kind of like deflate a little. They do not need a lot of water, and if you're an overwaterer, that's probably the biggest killer for these guys. This one doesn't get a ton of sunlight in my apartment, but I do have a grow light on it that's directly pointed on it, so I believe that's why it has grown so significantly, because it was up to here when I got it, and I only got it probably like 4 months ago. Another really great one for me is a rabbit foot fern. I am really bad with ferns, but this one really loves me for some reason. These ones are the coolest ferns in my opinion, so I'm happy that it likes me. But this one gets really low light in my apartment, and I water it frequently because ferns are very thirsty. Rabbitfoot fern, if you want a cool plant, a creepy plant, and one that won't die like any other fern. And my last example, just for ones that work really well for me, is a money tree. This one broke off these leaves, which is really unfortunate, but this one was a rehab plant that came from like Target, and Target like never has plants, so I mean, it's fitting, I guess. But this one has grown a lot for me, and I brought it back from pretty much nothing, and it just sits by my window and gets frequent sunlight, and I water it the same as all my other ones every 2 to 3 weeks whenever it's really dry, and it does really well for me, and it sprouts out new growth frequently. You can see here, or maybe you can't. No, you can. You can see here it has a new growth plant, and down here it's starting to get another branch, which is really exciting. And these are really cool trees to have, and these are a really common houseplant among people, so I definitely recommend getting a money tree if you can. If you can find one, get it. Okay, and that is the end of the video. I hope it was somewhat helpful for anyone who wants to expand the amount of houseplants they have, or if you want to get into houseplants. I hope you can go out and like confidently go into like an environment with a lot of liveliness, I guess, and find something good for you and be able to kind of immerse yourself in the houseplant community. So if you like this video, if you would like to hear me ramble some more, like this video and subscribe. And I will see you in the next one. Bye.